Today on the Real Fan Review, we get you ready for It Chapter 2, and we talk about the Joker. Welcome to the Real Fan Review. What's going on, podcasters and YouTubers? This is Hav here, one of your hosts for the Real Fan Review. And today we're joined by my brother B.
Bonjour, mon ami.
Wow, a little gambit today.
You know it. Mahoon.
We got my boy Sanj with us today.
Good evening, everyone. As usual, it's a pleasure to be with you.
And today we're going over some great stuff, man. We got It Chapter 2 coming out this Friday. We also have great things to talk about with the Joker, man. So before we get into that It Chapter 2 prep, just really quick with the Joker. I mean, I think it played in one of the festivals. Was it the Cannes? Or Cannes?
Canis was the Spanish.
It's like Cannes. I'm like,
Cannes.
I believe
Cannes
that would be the cans.
the Cannes Festival. There we go.
Cannes Festival.
Cannes.
What is that? Sundance?
Sundance. Try to make it like, a little fancy there. So apparently it got played.
The emphasis is on the wrong syllable. That's a shout out to Al.
Man. So listen, man, it got played in front of this festival here, and the reviews came out right afterwards. We got people calling it a masterpiece. We got people saying it's the greatest thing. They said that we thought Heath Ledger's Joker was something serious. You guys haven't seen something yet. So, I mean, I know you guys kind of saw the final trailer. You guys are hearing all this news. Sanj, talk to me. Excited about this or what?
When I saw the news, right, and I was excited just by the news showing that they showed it at the festival, and right away on Rotten Tomatoes, it already has an 86 on Rotten Tomatoes. So that's incredible. Because the Rotten Tomatoes site usually does do a pretty good job of indicating how the quality of the movie and everything. And then to see the next trailer. Right. The final trailer I saw it and I'm just like, oh my God.
Right. Yeah. That final trailer was like,
this is incredible. I mean, it looks like even if it wasn't the Joker, if it was just it looks like it could stand alone by itself, regardless of the universe that it's in. Right. And be something incredible.
Absolutely. And Brandon, man, how about you, man? I know you actually text me last night. They're saying like the reviews are incredible.
Yeah, I'm actually super pumped. I remember when it first got announced, I was really worried because it just didn't really make sense, the premise.
Right.
As we got that first trailer, it started to make a little bit more sense to me. I'm like, okay, this is our pre-Batman, this is really just the Joker being the Joker. But, after seeing that final trailer and after reading a lot of the reviews, spoiler-free reviews, of course, I'm really intrigued and I'm super, eager to want to see this movie.
Right.
I'm itching because now, I got confused because I saw the final trailer and all of a sudden people had reviews. I'm like, oh my God, is it coming out next week? What's going on,
I know, right? So that's what I expected. Then when they said October.
Yeah, October 4th. All right. I got to wait a whole month.
And so, it was cool because from what I was reading, it's what I expected it to be in a good way. So I'm eager to see my opinion on the movie.
Yeah, listen, I mean, everything that I've read seems like it's going to be absolutely crazy. One of the descriptions I read was that when you leave the theater, you're going to feel disgusted, gross, but then after you take a shower and wipe it away, you're left with this movie that leaves you thinking, what's real, what isn't.
Descriptive, huh?
And I'm like, whoa, it's deep. But then I have a little worry sometimes because with these festivals, not to kind of typecast or put a label to these festivals or the people who go to these festivals, they come off a little snooty sometimes, and also they come
Jordan
across
Peele's Us was a masterpiece too.
Which one?
Jordan Peele's Us was a masterpiece
which was definitely a masterpiece.
Yeah, well, definitely because it's thought provoking and it was a different take. It's something that we've never seen before. But also with Us, we also left not that impressed with the movie either. So that's where the fear for me comes in for Joker, because it does look a little out there because it's just something different that we haven't seen before, a played out version of the Joker this way, because truly Joker doesn't have a backstory.
He's always been an accessory to the story.
So this is going to be interesting to see what their take is on how the Joker became who he became.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, I mean, there's a little fear, but at the same time, it's just way too many good positive notes about it. So I'm looking forward to it.
So one of the things that has me really excited for the Joker movie is that in preparation, since we know how Joaquin Phoenix goes through his process.
He's a method actor. Yeah.
Yes. I watched this week You Were Never Really Here.
What's that?
That was with Joaquin Phoenix, where he plays sort of a hitman or vigilante, but he rescues kidnapped girls.
Okay.
Right? And then, of course, people come after him and everything. Throughout the whole movie, he does very little talking. Throughout the whole movie. Very little dialogue in the movie. But the movie was so intense, and he was so incredible in the movie, just with facial expressions and the intensity of how he
knows how to play those
things.
Yeah.
So I watched him do that, and just how sinister and just psycho and intense he can be and portray, and I'm looking at it like, okay,
yeah,
I can see this being a good segue into the Joker.
Absolutely,
like
man.
to go completely unhinged, to just like completely break in your mind.
Absolutely.
And so that movie was incredible. First of all, I mean, just as an aside, if you haven't seen You Were Never Really Here, go see that. So
yeah. I think one of the moments in the final trailer that I saw where I was like, oh yeah, this is gonna be crazy, was there was two actual scenes. It's him with the white makeup on, and he's kind of like turning his head to the side, and he's bending over, so he just looks a little bit weird. But you can see the white makeup, so you're like, oh wow. And then there's a quick snapshot of him as I think his name is Arthur Fleck in the movie. It looks like he's stomping out somebody in the alleyway, and I'm like, "Oh, this is gonna get ugly." This is
what I'm seeing. I feel like it's gonna be one of those snaps, like kind of like the whole theme of the Batman story with the Joker. I just blanked out on it. Which is all it takes is one bad day.
That's the Killing
Joke, right?
Joke.
The Killing Joke. All it takes is one bad day. So I feel like this movie is really going to capitalize on that thought. You have someone who's going through a mental illness, and you can see in the trailer he's pushed upon, he's bullied. He's not taken seriously. He doesn't really have a lot going for him that is good. So what happens that pushes him over the edge to become this
and then the scene
archaic?
And then the scene where he's talking with his therapist, and how she's saying, "Oh, we're not going to be seeing each other anymore." And she asks him, "Have you been having negative thoughts?" And he's just like, "Do you listen to anything I say when I come here? All I have is negative thoughts." And I'm just like,
whoa.
"Yo,
whoa." Oscar.
Yeah. And like when I saw that part, I was like, oh my God, we're really gonna go into the psyche of the Joker here.
Absolutely.
I just hope it stays as a standalone. I hope this is a one and done kind of a thing, and doesn't really bridge into the Batman mythos other than being in Gotham and having Thomas Wayne.
Right, I hear you.
I don't want it to delve any further. I hope this just this is a one thing, and then we just get to enjoy it,
Now, if
hopefully.
This is successful, right?
Yeah.
This is going under this new label, DC Black, right? So this is where going to be the more mature stories and things like that.
Yeah.
If this is successful, you say you don't want to see a second one.
Yeah.
Would you want to see them more dive into like maybe the Riddler and dive into other, maybe even Superman's big bad, which is Lex Luthor? Would you want to see something like that for those guys too, or just like this is just?
I think
one of those?
I think that might be the thing that can really turn DC movies around.
Absolutely, man. But listen, man, if DC's listening out there, man, I'm putting my little ticket in there for a Riddler DC Black movie. So I would love to see the Riddler deconstructed.
Who do we want to play the Riddler?
Oh man, we can probably get with what's the guy's name from Glass? He plays the multiple characters. He's also Xavier.
I was literally just about to say James McAvoy.
Yeah.
I was literally going to say,
James
whatever
McAvoy
you
could be the
say,
Riddler.
I'm going to counter with James McAvoy.
But could that movie suffer from him being too many other characters in the genre?
Right? I mean, I don't know, but an actor like him, because I can't really even think of any other actor that I just
feel like
he
just
right
changes the way he is for every role. So I mean, like, thinking about him being an It, like I don't think about him being Charles Xavier until I see X-Men. I'm like, oh, I'm like, oh, but I forget what he does until I see it because he changes himself.
He morphs,
so yeah,
definitely, yeah. Oh, you know what? Another person, Riddler, and this may be out of the box, but Johnny Depp.
Yes.
You know, Johnny Depp, because I heard he was rumored for Riddler a long time ago. Also,
I could see that.
So
cool.
that'd be
because he's played some dark characters,
Yeah,
like Mr. Reese, right? Yeah.
Yeah. And then in the movie The Secret Window.
Time out, guys.
What?
Brandon right now. Brandon is with his theory that Mr. Reese, who was in The Dark Knight, is the Riddler.
He was a redhead. Mr. Reese, come on, play on words, come on.
You're reaching.
No, but the Riddler's Edward Nygma.
But
exactly.
But there was a lot of changes in
there
Nolan's
was.
Batman.
To be fair, you were right.
Like,
yeah, because
what was it? Robin, Tim Robin. Like, what's his name?
No, his name was his real name was Robin, but
we go by John or something.
Yeah, John or something like that. Whatever. But he wasn't.
He was John Connor.
But here's the thing: he wasn't picking up. He wasn't becoming Robin as to Batman.
They just wanted to do a little highlight.
Mm-hmm. Well, he was becoming highlight here, Mr. Reese.
He was becoming the next Batman.
Should edit that shit out of there,
Mr. Reese. Come on.
Anyway, man. So listen, that's it for Joker, man. You guys can hear how excited we are to see this movie again. This is coming out October 4th. Joaquin Phoenix looks like he's doing his thing, and again, Joker's gonna be a big movie, man. So hopefully everybody goes out to check it out, so we get more DC Black movies. So now we're going into what we came to talk about today.
Hello.
Oh man,
you'll float too.
I'm going to Sanj on this one first because Sanj just watched it for the first time. Sanj,
I'm still scared.
Talk to me about the red balloons and the clowns, Sanj.
I don't want to see a clown right now. Like, I denied red balloons.
So, Sanj, no, for real though. Listen, what was your thoughts after seeing it? Because I know when me and Brandon saw it, we left the theater like just flawed because we were just like, wow, that was insane. Because we didn't expect that for a horror movie.
No,
because it came off like an adventure horror movie / like coming of age movie. It was just a bunch of things, and it worked.
Yeah. It
worked so good,
so well.
So, what was your take on it?
It was just
speechless. I love it.
No, right from the beginning, it like tugs at it. It really like plays on your emotions because it's his little brother, and then
Georgie.
The movie catches you right up because it wasn't that he just took him, right? He bit his arm off. Right?
He bit a kid's arm off.
Yeah, he bit a kid's arm off. And, like, we show this in a movie, and, like, the kid's, like, trying to, like, inch away with his arm bleeding out and whatever. And then he just reaches out and grabs him and basically consumes him. Right? So that was so, like, that sparks it off right there. And then how it was, you know, the kids were going all over the place, but, it was following them basically everywhere in pictures and things. And it would just find them at the randomest times, and then they're going back through the history of the town, and then when they showed the picture, you know, they were talking about the explosion when they were in the library talking about the explosion, and then they zoomed in on the head of the kid in a tree. Yo, I was just like, oh my god, like just the images, and like he went there, like they went there with it, like and everything, and then the scene in the basement of the library with the body chasing him.
Oh yeah,
you know, without a head, and it's like I was shook. I'm just like I would have like shit myself. You know, I worked in a library. You know, when I was a teenager, and one of my jobs was going in the basement, like where they keep all the like the old magazines and everything, and I've organized stuff or go down there and get stuff. But that was like I had my areas down there, like, and it was really creepy down in the basement of the library, and like shit could happen to you. Nobody would know. This is not like, this is, you know, 20 years ago when the cameras aren't everywhere. Right. You don't have no cell phone and things like that. Shit could happen to you, and nobody's gonna know. So I think back, and like I remember, like, and it made me even more scared, you know, watching these things happen, because those were kind of things that I was thinking about back then. Like, yo, if this shit really popped up, if ghosts and shit are really real, this is when it's gonna happen.
Right. Exactly.
And I'm locked down here, and I'm gonna get taken. You know what I'm saying?
I hear you, man.
So it put me back to when I was a teenager, and it like made me like I was.
So
scared.
you felt like you were one of the losers club.
Yeah, I was definitely in the losers club. Yeah.
So I mean, like, but like, how did you feel about like? So I'm gonna ask you a couple questions real quick. Then, what was your overall take on Pennywise the Clown? Was it well played? Did it scare you? What did you think of Pennywise?
Well played, and Pennywise did scare me.
Yeah,
but not in like a jumpy sort of way. Just like it made my like Pennywise made my skin crawl. Like
something wrong with that man.
Yeah, and like it just made my skin crawl.
Right. So and then like your overall feeling of the movie in total there.
Oh, great movie because other than the horror part of it, you know, again as a the issues, so much of it was subtle, but it was right in your face, so they didn't have to talk about it like the girl and her dad, like what he was doing to her, you know, it was kind of implied, but then when he was like, "You're still my little girl, right? You know, you're still,"
of course,
and I'm just like, "Oh my god!" And then when the way he like smelled her hair and everything, and then she goes and cuts her hair. Mm-hmm. I'm just like, oh my god, wow.
Right, they never full on just say it.
No, but that's what's happening.
Exactly, what they're not implying. They're basically telling you that's what's happening without saying it.
Yeah. Right.
You know, and it was very, very intense, man.
Right, just to like have all those thoughts going through your mind.
That movie made you uncomfortable.
Yes, it made me very. It made me very.
Job of doing
but then, like how the kids were being bullied. As well, like those really bad bullies, they were just like terrorizing kids, and like there's no adult doing anything about it anywhere.
Right. Well, I was gonna ask you guys about that, man, because I was gonna ask you a couple questions regarding this movie, man. Did you find like, because I'll give you some examples really quick. In the beginning movie, when Georgie gets taken, there's a scene that shows a lady coming out of her house, and she sees Georgie playing by the drain. Mm-hmm. Then when she comes back out again for the second time, he's gone, and there's blood trailing from the thing. Yeah, it doesn't seem like she did anything.
No, she just went back in. It's like the adults know this shit.
I think that's the whole point.
And I think that's what it is. I think there's like
it's unspoken
something that's happening in the town, and no one's saying or doing anything about it.
Yeah, and that was kind of the premise of the book. Was just like the town is aware that these things happen. It just happens, right? Like, we're just gonna let it do, and it's kind of something that has to do with the town, right? In the town itself and where it's located and all the things about it, right? It's a town that basically shouldn't exist, like, right. So because it does, these things that happen there, it's kind of the unspoken thing. Like, this is just how it is here,
exactly.
Like it's a town that derives off of fear. And the town itself, you would call it, in a sense, that being manifests itself off of fear. So that town is kind of like on the spiritual side of things, where it shouldn't be a thing,
right?
But people know it is, and either they forget about it or just can't see it.
Gotcha, man. So I mean, we'll get right into this prep now for the It Chapter 2 here coming on. So just to kind of get everybody ready for this movie, we're going to not go play by play on the movie, but what we're going to do is we'll touch on a couple of topics from the movie. We'll remind you of some of the characters, where they were, where they started, and then how they ended up in this movie, so that you're ready for the next chapter here. So now with it, again, as San stated, we started with the movie with Georgie and his brother Bill, right?
Yes.
Is Bill. So Bill apparently makes him a boat. Georgie plays with it outside in the rain, and he starts to follow it, and it goes down this drain. And this is our first intro into Pennywise. Now I got to tell you guys, I rewatched it last night. Terrifying, man.
So I made sure when I watched it, I watched it at like midnight. Yeah, lights out, everybody's asleep.
You do it right. You gotta do it right.
You gotta do it right. Yeah, gotta do it right. Yeah.
Pop.
Yeah.
Pop.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Popcorn. And I just. The fact that they went there right in the beginning set the mode. I mean, besides the rain, you can see that it was like a bad thunderstorm. To see them chew, I can't remember the last movie I saw where they did something to a child. So to see that right off the bat, it was like, whoa, what are we doing? Where are we going?
It was heavy from the get. It was like, oh,
I saw it. I'm like, my son is never going outside again. My kids are never going outside again.
Son, what you mean you want a sailboat? Get out of here.
Get your ass back in the house.
Put the Xbox back on. What are you talking about? Put that Xbox on.
I mean,
You ain't going to school.
I mean, just even the little subtle stuff that he was doing as Pennywise in that one scene to intro him. Did you guys see the amount of drool coming out of his mouth?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's disgusting. I pretty much, I'm pretty sure he just came up with that on his own to be even more weird.
Don't doubt it. I completely don't doubt it.
But also on top of that, man, do you see his eyes? Like the eyes were like one direction.
Yeah, and they were turning yellow.
Dude, do you know that he does that on his own? Bill Skarsgård, he
Really?
does that with his eyes. It's not CGI.
Oh my god. Oh right, he did that in an interview with like Conan, I think. And he was like kind of like he asked him like if you can do like the like a little screen like a little scene play as Pennywise, and he did the eye thing. You know, like he started talking. I was like, "Oh my god, it's terrifying." Even without the makeup, still terrifying.
I know. I saw when I saw the movie for the first time. I saw it without you guys. I saw it with my coworkers, and just that one scene alone just got me like, okay, I know what we're in for now. It's gonna be pretty ugly here.
Yeah,
you know, it's gonna be kids getting messed up and all this stuff. But
especially as you relate it to the original TV movie. Now, obviously, it was a TV movie, but you know, the whole movie, like the beginning was the same, but he just dragged him into the sewer. Like that was it. Like literally just took him by the arm, and all of a sudden you saw him in the sewer, and then, you know, or you saw a red balloon kind of pop to the ceiling of the sewer, and that was really it.
Yeah.
You know, there was no indication that he ate him or anything. You just know he took him and all that stuff, and then there was a funeral. You know, here it was like, oh, he's hungry. Like, you know, took his arm. Like, oh god. So that like right off the get go, I remember like looking at you like, oh, you know, I was like bugging out because I was like, this kid's arm is actually missing.
Yeah, it was pretty fucking gross actually.
So I have a question. So it was Pennywise the clown, right?
Yes.
Pennywise the dancing clown.
The dancing
He's
clown.
the dancing clown
Excellent.
in this movie.
But then also, like, remember when it came out of the picture? It was like a woman. It had a different form. So was that something different, or
So I
was
think
it?
he can
I think that's just
appear.
an illusion.
He can appear as whatever you
Yeah.
fear the most.
He
or
basically
whatever.
he feeds off your fear. That's
Yeah.
his whole thing as his deity that he is. He feeds off fear.
And that's something that I think that we missed out in this movie, because that's the one thing that I think they didn't describe or tell us enough of.
Mm-hmm.
Who and what is he?
I mean, in the book itself and in the movies, it's just kind of.
It didn't really explain how he got there.
It doesn't explain any of it, you know.
So I think
until,
in
like,
this
the
movie it
end.
might go into it a little
Yeah.
bit, but at the same time, I mean, the most that we got was that something happened a long time ago where these villagers disappeared. It was like 31
Yeah.
villagers. That's the Ben was saying that he had this
Yeah,
story
when
that
you
he
go to the
read.
history of Derry.
Right, that there was villagers and that 31 people died. They tried to blame it on the natives that were around, but they couldn't put, you know, what happened. They just found bodies near a well. That was the only thing that they had.
Yeah.
Then we get little things here and there. We
Like the explosion.
right. We see the when
Easter-
Ben goes to
yeah,
the
Easter
library.
Sunday,
He sees the explosion happen. So then he starts to realize that things are happening every 27?
27 years.
Every 27 years, things are happening, and that people are dying at 6 times the rate in Derry than anywhere else in the country.
And it was worse for kids.
Exactly. Yeah, man. So I mean, like, there's something definitely going on, but they don't really go into like really what's happening on there.
Yeah.
And now, like, Sanj, really quick, since you saw it the most recently, so I'll probably go to you for a lot of this stuff. What did you feel like with the intro to the kids? Like, you met Bill, there's Eddie, Stan,
Richie.
Mike, Richie, and then we find Ben and Beverly separately. But the kids, like, even their banter in the hallways, like what they're saying to each other, it's just freaking crazy.
That's hilarious, especially coming from Mike Wolfhard, who, you know, is from Stranger Things. So like him being like all innocent on that show at the time, you know, to hear him cursing up a storm in the hallway, I was like, oh, my child, like, oh god, you know. So I was thinking back, but it was hilarious.
So what about you, Son? What do you think of the
I mean,
the guys?
I thought it was gonna be like, you know, it gave you that real feeling of like being warm and fuzzy. Like, yeah, they're kids, they're teenagers, they're coming into their own. You got the everything is a penis joke or a sex joke, or, you know,
especially for Richie.
yeah, or like you know, I'm gonna do your mom or something like that.
Wait, one of the best jokes in that movie was, I think they were trying to figure out who was gonna do what, and he goes, "Luckily, we're not checking the size of our dicks to see who goes." And I'm like, dude, you're like 12. I'm like, oh my god, man. But I don't know. I feel like they did the intro to those kids really good because it felt you felt like they were friends. You felt like they were in high school.
To me, it was like like it was like the Wonder Years except explicit. Like with the language, like potty mouth Wonder Years. You know what I mean? Like,
did you find it more realistic than most like what they play elementary school or junior high schools? Would you say they're junior high school or high school?
I would say they're junior high school.
Me too.
Because now, like, they're taking Zendaya to do junior high school. You know what I'm saying? Like, girls didn't look like that in junior high school. You know what I mean? Like, they're taking adults and making them. They actually are kids,
right?
And instead of having Tom Holland, play a teenager, something like that. Like, we know that's an adult. Like, But no, it was better that they had kids and that you could see that they're not fully developed or anything,
right?
Like that, and so they pull that lends credibility to the story and the acting as well.
Yeah. Now, what do you think? Like, so the first intro to Pennywise from these characters, I'll give you real quick because I wrote it all down here. So Mike, he sees Pennywise when he's going to that butcher shop for a delivery.
Yeah.
He sees the hands coming out of the warehouse door there, and you hear the burning stuff going on. The door opens, and there Pennywise is in the background hanging. I mean, I was like, what the hell am I watching? And it just like it freaked me out.
I think what makes it more uncomfortable is that we're dealing with kids.
Yeah, that are looking at this.
Yeah,
and I think even the scarier part, or the part that kind of gets you the most, is that it's not at night. This stuff is happening during the day.
Yeah.
When we think about horror movies, you think about Nightmare on Elm Street. All those things are happening when they're trying not to fall asleep. That's at night. Friday the 13th, that whole movie takes place at night. So when you think about horror movie, everything's at night. When you can't see, this and that, you're in the cover of the night in the moon. Like here it is, and this is like 2:00 in the afternoon, and this guy's making a play.
It really put you back into the mind space of being
a kid.
Me anyway. Me like. A junior high school kid, especially for us. Like, remember when we were in junior high school, wintertime, it gets dark like at 3:00. And then sometimes you stay late. Remember that long, the cemetery over there?
Yeah.
And you got that long piece of the cemetery that you got to walk down that road. Yo, that's scary.
Right.
In the middle of winter and it's dark out and everything and whatnot. Like, it took me back to that. I'm like, yo, there's some ghosts going to come out there. And like, it makes you think about stuff like that. Yeah.
Hey, man. And then let me see something else that the first time we see it was with Stan. He was at his for Jewish people it's
temple.
The temple, right? I was gonna say church, but I think it's called temple. So at the temple, he sees the painting that he looks like he's afraid of the painting right from jump.
Yeah.
Right. The painting is he it's on the floor. He puts it up. And he doesn't even want to look at it. And then he's
It wasn't straight. It was crooked.
Straight. It was
and he
crooked.
makes it straight.
Exactly. He didn't even want to look at it. And then sure enough, that's what comes out for him afterwards to go get him. Let's see. So that's Stan. That's Mike. For Bill sees Georgie in the basement.
Yeah. Oh.
Guys, if that... First of all, when he runs across the kitchen...
And then he talks to him.
Oh, dude. Wait.
As Georgie, like, oh my God.
What was it, Brandon? What were you saying?
You'll float too. You'll float too. You'll float too. I was like, man. I was like, what are you doing? What are you doing?
Wait, did you notice that as he's saying it, his face was deteriorating?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so freaking crazy. And then, besides Georgie going crazy and melt his face melting, then it comes out of the water
right.
and he's shaking his head and running at the same time. Do I pause it and say, "No, I can't do this right now. Can't do this right now." And then let's see. For Ben, his first time, like Sanjay was saying earlier, was the library. Sanjay,
Yeah.
You worked at the library. How real was that? I mean,
I watching it, certain things certain things stick in your mind. Like, it could be a sound, it could be a smell. Like, I was like, my mind was replaying like the smell of the basement of the library with all the old paper and everything, and I'm just thinking about that stuff. And like,
right,
yeah,
dude,
I was legitimately scared of that movie. Like, it freaked me out, bro. Like I told you, it made my skin crawl.
Yeah, man. You know what else? Just kind of like just jump around a little bit. What made my skin crawl more than it sometimes though were the other characters. I'll give you some examples on that, man. Which was, San said Beverly's dad. Again, a lot of implying, but it really wasn't implying. It was on the nose what they were saying he was doing, right?
Yeah.
Without saying it. And it's that alone just bothers me to the core, right?
And then on top of it, the symbolism of the blood coming up out of the...
Absolutely.
You figure, like, if he hurt certain stuff like that, and afterwards he's, like, you know, bleeding or something like that, and remember she went to get feminine products from the pharmacy and everything. So just, like... And then how terrified she is of all the blood and everything. And, like, you see her just sitting there in the corner just, like, shaking. And then the father comes in and he's like, what are you doing? She's like, can't you see all the blood? Yeah. It's just all that, just the symbolism of that, where injuries like that to a person, all the perception of it, no one else can see what's happening to you.
Right.
So you know it's real. You know it's happening to you. But no one else, and even when you try to tell someone else, they're like, it's in your head.
Right. And
no, it's not in my head. I can see it. It's everywhere. You know. So just that made it worse.
Absolutely, man. And then how about this one, B? When Beverly was talking to the guy at the pharmacy, when he was like, when she's like, you kind of look like Clark Kent. And then she goes, can I try those glasses on? And he goes, you could be my Lois Lane.
That was so
that's just like, come
creepy.
on, dude.
The movie did a really good job of portraying
adults in a very, very bad light.
Yeah. It just did a really good job of putting that out there. Like, we're not gonna kind of cozy you around this. You know, it isn't the worst thing here in Derry,
right?
You know, and that.
Thank you. That's something else. Yeah. That's what I got out of the movie. Like, even with the horror part of it, that still wasn't the worst thing going on.
No.
What'd you guys think of Eddie's mom? I didn't know how to play that one. I could see her being like obsessive and trying to keep her son safe, but there was something more than more to it than that.
So I was asking Nina about that because she does have a degree in psychology as well. So she was saying that's called Munchausen syndrome or something like Munchausen syndrome, where parents tell their kids that they're sick or invent sicknesses for their kids so that they can be seen as sort of like a martyr parent. Or like, you take care of that sick child and you're so great for taking care of your sick child. Meanwhile, they're telling their kid that they're sick and they're making their kid sick. Right? So that they can be their kid's hero.
This is bullshit. You're giving me bullshit, Mom.
Yeah, exactly. Right? It's a placebo, right? You're giving me bullshit. And, like, you can see the effect that it has on him. He thinks he's a spaz. Yeah. And he's not a spaz. He's just, he's just a kid.
Exactly.
But he thinks he has all these ailments. He's walking around with a fanny pack full of drugs.
Right. She's telling him that he can't go near cut grass.
Right, exactly, right? So... that's Munchausen syndrome. Yeah, it's a real thing.
How about even the bully in the movie? Is it Bowser?
Bauer?
Bowser's from Mario.
I'm like,
I think it's Bauer. I think is it Eddie Bauer or
no? Eddie Bauer would be a fashion line.
We're destroying this one. But no, him with his dad. I mean, look. As bad as he was, you could kind of see why he was bad.
Yeah, Henry Bauer.
He's acting out.
Yeah, he's acting out big time. His father got, and which is kind of weird because it's a fucked up thing. But at the same time, I love the line. Nothing like a little fear to see a paper man crumble.
Yeah,
I was like, oh shit.
Yeah.
I mean, that kid was shaking when his dad shot at the ground.
Yeah.
But at the same time, God knows what his father has done to him.
Right.
That made him the way that he is.
And it's crazy because, like, you see that what he's taken from his father, that fear he has of his father, is how he takes it out on the people and the lengths that he goes to terrorize those kids. He's borderline almost trying to kill them.
Dude, I mean, there's points. Well, like Science was saying, one of the bullying scenes was with Ben.
When he cuts him, he's like about to carve his name into the kid's stomach. Like, yo. And then, but what makes it worse is that you see Ben is a big kid in the sense that he's overweight, but he's not a big imposing kid compared to these other kids, right? And there's 3 of them.
Yeah.
Two of them are holding him down. This other one's carving his name into his stomach. He's yelling out help. A car drives by with adults in it. They look and see what's going on and they just keep driving. It's not like they speed off or anything like that. They just, it's like normal.
That's exactly
so it's just like what you were saying. It's like, that's not the horror part. It is not the worst thing happening. And then all these bad things are happening on a day in, day out basis. People are being terrorized. Children are being terrorized. And the adults just
looking
looking the other way. Everybody knows it's going on, and nobody's doing anything.
Yeah.
I mean, for a child, that is the worst horror, where you don't feel you have a safe space.
And I think that's
the point,
that's
right?
the whole point.
Yeah, like, at least, as a parent, you try to make your home a safe place for your kid. That they come home, they want to come home. You have things at home that they want, like their video games, their room. You let them have whatever they want, and it's at least whatever the world is outside, they come home to a safe place. And what happens is that none of these kids were going home to a safe place.
Yeah, where are you safe?
Because
they weren't safe anywhere. If they were in
that's why
the
they had
street,
each other, and that was the whole point.
Yeah.
Yeah, because look, even Bill. Bill was saying, if you guys remember when he was going to the Niebolt house? That was the house where the thing or the well was,
house,
right? He was saying, I would rather go into that house than my own home.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, wow, dude. And and I get it. It's seeing his brother's empty room, seeing that his brother's not coming home. And then even when he tried to come up with ideas of how to find his brother,
his dad just yelled at him like, yo, he's dead. He's
Absolutely.
gone. He's dead.
Yeah, stop this, And it's just like, again, it feels like it is either putting a haze around Derry or, like you guys are saying here, man, the people in Derry are worse than it, So we go into more with this here. With it, and there's some things that I noticed because I also looked up a lot of stuff for it before we came on, and I saw that the it character is pretty much a lot of different places in the movie. They're in the library scene. If you look at it, because when I watched it, I looked for it because I heard about it, but there's a librarian behind Ben that's just looking at him and smiling. Creepy.
Yeah.
That also, when Ben was when he was injured and they were trying to heal him up by the back of the pharmacy in the alley, he leans over. There's a picture of the it monster behind him.
Yes. Yeah.
And I was just like, oh, and it's just like those little things, those little details. It's kind of implying that Pennywise is everywhere.
Yeah.
Or the danger is everywhere.
Yeah. So like you guys were saying, like most horror movies, this stuff is happening at night. This is happening anytime, anywhere, and everywhere. And it's just a little bit nuts, man. And again, this movie just made you feel like just gross and icky and just like, oh my God, it can happen anywhere, man. And this is the part where I kind of like, I told Brandon, movie kind of reminded me of Goonies, is the kids on the bike.
Yeah.
On that adventure. They're on an adventure at this point.
So they go to the Niebolt house, and they know how to go to Niebolt house because why? Eddie saw it at the Niebolt house, so they kind of knew that that's where the watering hole was. Eddie saw, like, what, a homeless person or a leper that he was saying?
I think it was a leper.
That was so gross.
Yeah.
And that was the first time he saw it with the balloons. Oh my God.
That was crazy.
All those balloons, like, and then the pop, 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 pop.
Oh, they all popped there, man. Oh yeah. So they go to the Niebolt house,
which was really cool
that
because
was a cool
that
scene.
Wasn't in the original. So like seeing that, taken up out of the original movie and having something brand new was terrifying in the aspects because you didn't know what was going to happen. A lot of the movie you saw, if you watched the other movie or if you read the book, you saw a lot of it coming. The house was in the book, but like you don't really kind of take that into account. So like, oh, like I don't know what's gonna happen in this scene. I don't know what's gonna happen here.
Right.
You have the 3 doors, you have this, you have the separation of the group, and I'm sitting there like my hands are tied around the chair because I'm like, I don't know what's gonna happen in this house. It was terrifying.
I think the first messed up thing was when Richie walks into the house and he finds the missing poster of him.
Yeah.
Can you imagine you go somewhere and you find a poster that says you're missing? Dude, that was so surreal and crazy. I was just like, holy crap, what's going to happen next? And then it was Richie, Bill, and Eddie that went into the house, right?
Yeah.
And they all go upstairs, and then somehow they get separated. I think Eddie hears a whisper of something. He looks behind him.
And he thinks it's his brother, like, because it runs, like it's a little thing running.
No. The Eddie is the one with the mom. Who thinks,
no. Yeah. When Bill goes off.
Bill goes off, hearing. But Eddie turns around because he sees, like, it looks like the lights that come out of its mouth. But he was looking at like a circle thing. So he gets split off. Bill and Richie go on to this room they saw a little girl asking for help, and she got dragged out.
Yeah,
that was freaky also. So they get taken apart. So it looks like it's kind of separating them little by little.
because if they separate them, they're more afraid.
More
they're
afraid.
together,
Yeah.
they have each other to like gain strength off of, and then you see when it comes down to it, when they're not afraid of him no more.
Yeah.
Then
Now, what do you think, Sanj? When we'll discuss Eddie first, because Eddie falls through the hole, and he goes into the kitchen.
I thought he was done.
What do you think of it coming out of the refrigerator, bro?
I couldn't, even when I was watching, I couldn't go get a snack, bro.
I thought that was it for him. I was like, oh, it's over.
I thought he was done.
Dude, the way that he came out of that refrigerator, twisting and turning, oh my Lord. And then it was just like so weird, because then he came at him, was like, oh, I'm real. Yeah. I'm like, oh shit,
Like, you're dead.
Oh my God. But then he didn't really go to kill him. He kept trying to get him more scared and more scared. And like it looked like he was feeding off of him. Right? And then they cut back to Bill and Richie upstairs. Now all of a sudden, Bill and Richie get separated in a room really quick. Richie sees a door open and he sees Eddie pop out. He's like, oh, Eddie, what are you doing? He goes into the room, and what's his fear? Clowns.
And so it's
And then, dude, when all those drapes dropped off of all those clowns, I personally lost it, because I hate clowns. No one's that happy all the time, right? So,
hence the Joker.
oh my Lord. And he goes to the casket that has, I guess, is it a doll of him?
Yes.
That looks dead?
Yeah, it looks like him, but
dude, when the casket closes and it pops up.
See, that's the thing that would like freak me out if like this stuff started happening in real life. Then I would start thinking like, if I see a missing picture of myself and myself in a casket, am I here? Am I alive? Am I dead? Am I a ghost? Like, what's going on with me right now? Like, it would,
that would fuck with your mind.
You don't know what's real, what's not real. You don't know what's going on.
And I especially liked this part of the movie, because for Richie was the one who was the least affected the entire movie up to that point. Like, he didn't really have that much interaction. He was the comedic relief. He was, the one that wasn't afraid of anything. And so at this point in the movie, like, you're like, oh, Richie's like solid. And then this whole house trip was meant to break him.
Yeah, the missing poster.
From
the
everything.
Clowns, the dead Richie. Oh, my Lord.
That whole point of that house was to break that kid.
Now, if let me ask you guys, if you guys were stuck, so you're Bill, you're Richie. You get stuck in a room and there's 3 doors. One says scary, one says not scary at all, and the other one says pretty scary. Are you really going to fall for that shit?
I would. Can I turn around?
Dude, I honestly would not know what. I'm like, not scary at all. This is clearly a fucking trap.
Or is it?
Oh my Lord.
See, that's the mind fuck.
Yeah, it really is. But then we get to the cool scene where they realize that it's, Bill keeps saying, this is not real. This is not real. That missing poster is not real. So this whole thing is not real. Yeah. And I think that's when they started to affect Pennywise.
Yeah.
Because you saw Pennywise kind of like, he was about to go in for the kill on Eddie, and he turns. And then it looked like Sanjay was saying just a few seconds ago, was because they were all together, it kind of like made them not fear it as much.
Yeah.
Right? And then they go to kind of like toe to toe with it. But even his character Pennywise in that thing, he's talking to them. Am I not real enough?
Yeah.
And he talks about Georgie really quick to Bill to kind of like fuck with him.
Yeah.
I'm like, this movie's going for it, man.
And that was a really cool scene, because like you would say to yourself, like, if that was Freddy, Freddy wouldn't just kind of be hanging around. Freddy would be going swinging, coming at you. So it was like, what's Pennywise's deal? Why isn't he moving more? Why isn't he going to try and kill them?
Right.
Why is he still talking, trying to scare them? So you're like, can he not physically touch these kids unless they're scared? It was like, what's your power? Like, what can you do?
Right.
Because these kids start talking and now you're backing away.
Yeah.
So it was like, that was an interesting point.
Yeah, man. And then I think that's when we get the surprise attack from Beverly, who comes in with one of those posts from outside.
Yeah.
And she stabs him right through is it through the eye, was it?
Whatever she catches him with, she just it goes right through, I think his mouth.
Okay, through his mouth.
Think his mouth, yeah. But that's when they realize she can hurt you because she's not afraid of you, and that's when it turns for them. But how did he catch Beverly in the first place?
Oh, so this comes afterwards. So what happens with Beverly is, so after this scene right here, it gets the thing to the mouth. I guess he realizes that they're not afraid, and he tries to like back away. And as he's backing away, all the kids are like kind of like get together and like not be scared for a second.
Yeah.
And Bill's not scared. Bill goes after him to go find out where is he going. It is apparently going down the well that was in the basement of that house. They go outside, and I think Bill wants to go back in to follow it.
Yeah.
And that's when they break up because they're scared.
Yeah.
And like you were just saying just now, Richie was the one saying, I'm not doing this. We're supposed to have fun in the summer.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
then Stan,
Okay.
Stan also agrees. Stan's like, we're in junior high school.
Yeah.
I'm supposed to be practicing for my bar mitzvah, you know. And they're coming up with excuses, some of them. But then you got some people with Bill who are like, no, let's go do this. It was scared of us, kind of thing. But they ended up breaking up because some people just weren't part of it, and they were going to get in trouble and everything, you know. Especially with Eddie breaking his arm, it looked like.
Yeah.
So what ends up happening is they're living their own separate lives, and that's when we get to Beverly, who is, I think she's trying to sneak out to see Bill, and the dad confronts her. He put like a lock on the door, and he's like, where you going? You know, I hear you're hanging around with boys. Are you doing womanly things? Another gross out fucking part of this movie. And what ends up happening is she gets into a little fight there with her dad. She knocks him unconscious with the back of a toilet, the thing that goes
The
on
toilet
top.
seat cover, yeah.
Yeah, so she bangs his head with it, and he knocked
Or
out.
the toilet tank cover. Sorry.
Toilet tank cover, yeah. And then as she's looking at her dad, she turns to walk away, and it grabs her by the neck. Yeah. Completely surprising, because we're dealing with one thing, not thinking about it. We're thinking about dad. Dad is the fucking scariest part of this movie.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, she turns around, and the camera then pans, and there goes it holding her by her neck. And that's when I think Bill goes to look for her and sees the sign that says, if you try, you die, in blood, you know? And so that's when he tries to link up with everyone to try to get them to go find it. They all, well, I think it was just Richie at an arcade. Yeah. He's like, no, I'm not doing it. And he's just like, they took Beverly. And that's when they're like, all right, we got to do this. And then you see the kind of like the team up there. Everybody comes back together.
Avengers.
Mike has that. What type of thing is that Mike had?
It was Silver Bullet, right? Or it was
not a silver bullet. It was the thing that kills the sheep in the head.
Oh yeah.
So it's a gun.
Was it Cataprog?
No. It's just it's a bolt that it shoots out.
Right.
That they put it right in the, you know, they load it with like a CO2 cartridge or something like that.
Right.
And when they put it right between the sheep's eyebrows, and boom, kills them.
Right. Instant kill.
Yeah.
What was Silver Bullet? Was it Silver?
No,
you know what it was?
I
think it was the original.
There was original, but there was a lot of nods to that Silver Bullet because the kids' bikes, they had the little logo that said silver on it there. And that's when they go in to go try to find it. And so they go to the house and they start going down the well. And that's when I think the last person to go down the well was Mike, right? And that's when the bully comes in. That's when Henry comes in.
Yes. And then and then he throws down the rope.
Right. And the rope's gone, so there's no way for them to climb back up from there. But
or he pulls up the rope or whatever.
Something happens.
Yeah.
And it seemed like Henry was about to kill Mike for a second there.
Yeah.
And it was just like, I'm like, oh my God.
He was, but then
that's a lot of
he didn't,
racist nods too.
There
he
was
ran
a
out
lot.
of cartridges for the thing, or he didn't have the cartridge for the bolt gun.
Yeah, that luckily, man. And then I think somehow, some way, he knocked him into the well.
Down the well. That was so sad. Like, it's a kid dying, but like the fact that he was a bully and everything, and that they were terrorizing those kids, like, you're like, okay, cool.
Yeah, right. You almost was like, yeah, you know what?
Good, you got yours.
That's one that needed to happen there.
Yeah.
And I think what ends up happening is, you know, some of the kids were down the well waiting for Mike to come down, or figure out a way for Mike to come down. And somehow Stan disappears, or Stan starts walking away. Mm-hmm. And that's when Stan sees that the painting thing again. And then the kids
it just goes for his face. Like, and
God.
I thought listen, you know what? I was prepared to, like, I was just preparing myself that once they got it off him, like, there would be no head.
Right.
And it would just be his body there, like.
I mean, that was terrifying. And I think Bill got distracted before they went to go find Stan. Bill thought he saw Georgie.
Yes.
And that's when he goes to go look for it. And this is now becomes one of the most freakiest things that I think I've ever seen in the movie. I think Sanji mentioned this earlier, was not Beverly floating in the air, but when he looks up into the air and
you just think it's a junk pile, but then you look close and it's like it's not a junk pile. It's
kids floating.
It's kids floating.
Yeah.
That's just crazy.
So my question is, they saved Beverly, right? Because she started to float, right? They were able to save her. So does that mean all those other kids were just sitting there in that state?
No, I think those kids were dead. Those
kids
were
dead.
yeah, those kids were passed away, and I think it's just either the remnants of the kids or something,
or whatever's left. Whatever.
Yeah, because for some reason I don't think he finished off Beverly, because I think again Beverly was one of the people that wasn't afraid of him.
Yeah.
So he just basically caught her and put her in some kind of a trance.
He caught her with the eyes, the lights, right?
Right. That's what they're implying. Now, what do you guys think of the lights? Was it a little too far, or I mean, granted, I've seen it in the movie, the original.
Yeah.
But
they didn't need anything else to make it more creepy. But hey, why not?
Wait a minute. How about? I mean, I know we kind of skipped this part, but what did you guys think of when Beverly was in the thing and in the sewer part there, and we saw Pennywise actually dancing?
Oh, when he was jumped down and started doing his dance,
Oh,
I was taken back, and I'm like, whoa! There's a lot.
I guess they had to kind of show us why he was the dancing clown.
He's the
though.
dancing clown for a reason. He's about to mess you up.
Oh man, and and that's when we get to the ending scenes of this thing with it, is when they all finally confront. Well, Bill confronts the fact that Georgie's dead, and that he knew that wasn't Georgie that was down there that kept calling him over.
Yeah.
And then these kids all kind of like went after it. Now, this is the thing where it turned into like Nightmare on Elm Street Dream Warrior for me. Is if he had no more CO2 cartridges left in that bolt gun, how did Mike put the bolt gun to Pennywise and it worked?
Maybe it didn't work.
But it showed something happening to Pennywise.
Maybe he made it look like that.
Maybe, right?
Because I mean,
we'll have to watch that scene.
Because remember,
again.
you have to remember as well is that Pennywise the dancing clown is just a facade. You know, the real monster is hidden away. You know, and the monster is
It just takes that form.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
Pennywise is a form being created by the monster, but the monster is there. So maybe the monster had it look like Pennywise was killed. Because remember, at the end of the movie, Pennywise is waving as they're leaving. Or was that I'm freaking remembering the original or not? Because it happens in the original where he's waving as everyone's leaving Derry, by the cars. So I don't know if he does it in this movie. But,
no. In this movie, what ends up happening is
they meet up and they just decide to
first
leave.
of all, the kids jump him.
Yeah,
all right.
that was the most gangster thing I've ever seen in my life.
At one point, I was like, maybe I should be rooting for Pennywise because they're fucking him up.
Like these kids are not.
Dude, they were beating him with the crowbar, the bat,
anything they could find.
Got
like,
it,
dude.
He got it.
Wait, and I forgot which one he grabbed. Did he grab Stan or who did he grab? And he was just like, I'll just take this one. And you guys could go.
No, it was Bill.
Oh, he grabbed Bill.
Yeah. And Bill was ready to sacrifice himself.
Oh, and Richie,
because Richie had gotten caught, and Richie was mad at them because they left him. And then Richie at first made it seem like he was going to be like down with leaving. He's like, well, you guys did leave me, and, this would satisfy everything. But now I'm going to have to fuck this clown up or something like that. He said that. He said, I'm going to have to kill this fucking clown or something like that.
Yeah. So they definitely weren't afraid. They weren't afraid. And Pennywise slithered into a hole.
Yeah, he withered away.
Yeah, man, and he just kind of like went into this hole and disappeared.
He like disintegrated.
Yeah, it was just insane, and it's just like, okay, he went away, and then thank God they didn't follow the book. They go upstairs they get out of the sewer system, and they kind of make this agreement that if it ever comes back, they'll do their part to kill him. And they did a blood oath.
Yeah.
They cut each other's hands and they linked arms.
Kind of gross.
Yeah, man.
Well, it's a lot better than what happens in the book. So.
Yeah. We're not gonna talk about what happens in the book. The book is kind of like Stephen King.
Like Stephen King. What happened there, man?
What was that all about?
He was like, I got this. kid orgy.
Right. That'll make them all feel like one team.
We are together.
That is fucking gross.
I
That's
think
worse than the dad.
Listen, it's a connection, man.
It's just terrible, but again, glad they didn't go with that.
They formed their version of Voltron. You know what I'm saying? Like,
That's like Human Centipede. Come on.
Yeah, man. And then it looks like all the kids kind of separated from there, but they
Human
didn't.
Centipede.
That's a movie we definitely won't review. That movie was fucking terrible.
Yeah, no.
Human Centipede.
Yeah, no.
But back to it, man. That's where they all kind of like just basically separated from there.
Mm-hmm.
Now, according to what we have there for the trailers on It Chapter 2, there's not really much telling us a lot about what happens from in between It Chapter 2 from It Chapter 1 to Chapter 2.
Yeah.
Are you looking forward to this one?
I am so looking forward to it. And I just hope it matches up with the first one.
Right.
Because like when you have this side of the story, and this comes true for the book and for the original, the second half was the weakest. The weakest for every format. When it comes to the adult part of it, it was cool to see them come back to Derry, but things got too weird and the story stopped making a little bit more sense, and it got a little far-fetched, especially on the book's end. With the whole mother turtle thing, and
they mentioned a lot of turtles in this movie.
There's a lot of turtles, especially in the water in this movie. So like I'm hoping that it just matches up with the first one. It just is excellent. That's my super hope.
It's not, because my fear, Sanj, is like a lot of times when movies are not expected to be like this a huge hit like it was, that our expectations for part 2 is not going to match up to what we actually see. Now, the trailers have been great. We also hear this movie is going to be 2 hours and 45 minutes. Like, any fear or hesitation on your part to see this movie? Or
No, not at all. I mean, but I definitely agree with the sentiment. It's theirs to fail with. You know what I mean? Like they put on such a good show the first time around. Yeah.
Especially with this cast. Like, it's funny. It was like the original cast of kids were mostly nobodies. Just Finn Wolfhard was the only one that was really known. Everyone else was not known, so they shined not being these A-list actors. Now you have a whole bunch of A-list actors signed on for this movie.
Yeah, Jessica Chastain, McAvoy.
Yeah, so like I'm hoping now it translates where it's not just.
At least they've gotten people that we know can deliver great performances.
Yeah. That's why my fear comes more, because all these people can do it.
He's Bill.
He's Bill.
Okay. Yeah. And then we got Bill Hader as Richie.
Yeah,
that's gonna be funny. My favorite though is the Old Spice guy is Mike.
Isaiah Mustafa, right?
Old Spice guy, man. That's insane.
He's like, I'm serious. It is now diamonds.
Oh man! But I also heard that the kids are back in this movie too. They do a couple flashbacks. That's
cool.
So it'll be good to see the kids and everything like that.
I'm interested to see if they keep the story the same or if they travel the new route. If they explore different ways of getting to a different conclusion, maybe the same conclusion, but I'm hoping they do it better.
Yeah.
I want to see if they kill off Stanley. That's a big thing.
That's
for
a big
me.
thing in the next movie.
It's a big thing for me. So I hope
you want to see Stan dead for sure.
You know what? I actually don't.
Yeah.
I want to see what they do with Stanley, because he's kind of received that treatment.
Yeah.
Before, and it's just kind of like you didn't get to see Stanley live out the book because towards spoiler alert for anyone who hasn't seen the movie and or read the book, it's Stanley commits suicide before anything happens.
Right. He's so scared.
He gets the phone call saying it's back, and he goes, yeah, sure, and offs himself in his bathtub. So like I want to see
that would
what
actually
they do.
be a really good way to start it, I think.
Right.
Well, that's how they started the second half of the movie, which I think would be a cool way to do it. Keep it true.
Yeah.
But I'd also want to see, what if they didn't do that?
Right.
What if Stanley made it through and maybe didn't die, or
he comes through with a hole in his head, like
or like maybe Stanley is a manifestation of it, and he did actually kill himself, right?
That's a deep cut there,
right?
Oh, wow.
Hot take.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Like
if that happens, you ruin the movie for me. But that'd be crazy, man, if that happens, man. But also I want to know is like, because if you read the book and also even some of the TV movie, it gets a little weird with some of the stuff that they do, right?
Yes.
In the book, there's this whole like, I guess like prayer
There's a prayer
or something that they do to try to help them.
Yeah.
Then in the movie, it is like this big spider,
It's a giant space spider.
Yeah, so it's like this movie has been kind of like not real, but they've made it pretty much like something
Their
that could,
own.
Yeah, you could see something like that happening in real life.
I just
kinda
don't want to
thing,
see a
but-
giant turtle fighting a spider like that.
Yeah,
that's really my hope.
Like, are they gonna get really weird, or are they gonna just make their own thing? And I don't know. It's just I'm interested to see how they play this out. It's gonna be awesome, man. I do really feel like it's gonna be a good movie, man.
Keep it human.
Yeah, right, exactly. Like how you gonna explain this and come up with your own thing? Because like I don't ever remember seeing a carnival in the book or in that last movie, the TV movie. So to see this whole carnival aspect into this movie is gonna be great. It's gonna be great. I really do have high hopes for this movie, and I think I'm gonna be surprised. I think I'm gonna like it, honestly. So
I think regardless, I think we're gonna like it. Even if it doesn't meet our expectations, I think it's still gonna be very entertaining. Just basing off the story they've created for us so far.
Absolutely, man. And Sanj, any last takes for It Chapter 1 or 2?
I'm just excited. I mean, I'm excited about the cast that they have coming in to play the parts. So I'm looking forward to it.
All right, and Brandon, anything?
I'm just super excited. You know,
Yeah, same.
I've loved this story ever since I first read it, since I first saw it. You know, the original version with Tim Curry.
Yeah.
You know, so I'm just so excited to get to this point.
Absolutely, man. That's same for me, man. And again, man, this is for anyone who hasn't seen It Chapter 1. We just ruined it for you. But honestly, it's just
Spoiler alert.
Oh yeah, there you go. Spoiler alert. Yeah, way after the fact. After the whole podcast, damn near. But to be honest, guys, if you haven't seen it, or you need a little refresher, watching it. This is the 6th time that I've seen the movie. 6th time, and I love it. It's just a great movie, and it's something that you could watch somewhere down the road and still love it also. But this movie is fantastic. We're looking forward to It Chapter 2. And that's going to be it for us today, guys. We're just going over that today. Next week, we'll be back with the review for It Chapter 2 and maybe some other movie news and stuff that comes out during the week. So again, guys, if you need to email us or want to email us, just give us an email at therealfanreview@gmail.com.
We want to hear from you.
Absolutely. We would love to hear what you guys want us to talk about, or if you have a question for any of us, we'll definitely talk about any questions you have regarding the movies or ourselves. And you can subscribe to our channel. If this is the first time you're listening, you can find us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Our website is The Real Fan Review at therealfanreview.com. And again, guys, real is REEL. And we're just going to be signing off, and we'll be checking out that movie this week. We'd like to thank you for listening. And this is signing off for Hav, Sanj, and B. Have a good night.